for beginners.
The person that is
Yes.
Zoom user, if you could just rename yourself or say what your first name is at least, so we could have a record of everyone.
Tabitha, I don't know if that's me
No,
because
no, it's not. No, it's not you. Don't worry.
okay. Okay.
You tell her I'm here.
Hi.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so it's 11 o'clock, so we are going to begin. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Google and Safari for beginners. The first class of the new year. Happy New Year to everyone. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna go over some things that people should know when using both Google and Safari. And at the ending, we will have a fun little quiz to do as well. So as we see here on the screen, we're going over two browsers, Google Chrome and Safari. So I made sure to use the two well-known browsers that most likely everyone here today has heard of or used. Google Chrome is for everyone. It's the top picture here on the screen. So if you have an Apple phone or a Google phone, anyone can use Google Chrome. But at the bottom, we do have Safari, and Safari is for Apple users only. So if you do not have an Apple iPhone or an Apple iPad and so on, you cannot use Safari as your browser. You cannot download it or anything like that. So let's get started. And first, let's learn exactly about what is a web browser. So a web browser is an application for accessing websites and accessing the internet. So anytime we go on our phones and we need to research a question that we may have, we want to look at the news, maybe we want to go on social media, anything like that, right? We are accessing a web browser. And there are many different web browsers depending on maybe your personal preference or what your device came with. So if we look here on the screen, these are the most common web browsers, but there are more web browsers. So starting from left to right, on the left we have Safari, which is Apple products only. If you have a MacBook, a iPhone, an iPad, you would be using Safari, Apple. It's downloaded on everyone's devices. So if you never used it, I'm assuring you that it is there on your phone or laptop. Next, we have Firefox. Firefox can be used on MacBooks, Windows, and Androids. They're not necessarily on, iPhones, but you can download it on your laptop. It's not really the top one out of Safari and Chrome, but most people use that one as well. Third one, of course, is probably what everyone here today is familiar with, which is Google Chrome. Don't get confused with regular Google, was just the letter G. Regular Google is just a search engine where you can just ask questions, whereas Google Chrome is an actual web browser where you can access any website on the internet. So those are the two differences. Google Chrome, anyone can use it. Doesn't matter if you have an iPhone, an Android, a MacBook, and so on. Then we have Edge, which was known before as Internet Explorer. So if you were someone here today in the past, maybe you had a computer in the early 2000s, you might have been familiar with Internet Explorer. But now Microsoft, brought Internet Explorer, and now it's called Edge. This is mostly on computers. You cannot get Edge on, an iPhone. Then we have Opera. I think Opera out of all of these is the least most used. I've never used Opera before, but you can use it on a MacBook or a regular computer. Does anybody have any questions so far about, this page? All right, so those are web browsers. Like I said, there are more web browsers like DuckDuckGo, and other ones too. But there are hundreds of them, and we would take forever if we went over each one. But these are the most common ones that are used across the U.S. Other web browsers are going to be like in different countries and so on. We might not have access to those web browsers because they're from, Asia and things like that. But these are the most common ones for here.
But what's the difference between Firefox and Chrome?
Well, there's no differences. They're just owned by different companies.
Okay. Who owns Firefox?
Mozilla.
Mozilla.
I
Who is
don't-
Mozilla?
I don't know who Mozilla is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so now we're gonna go over some things that you may see on web browsers. The first thing we are gonna talk about is cookies, then bookmarks, and then lastly, we're gonna end it with tabs. So here I have a screenshot of something that probably we have all experienced when we have, went on a website, cookies. And we probably at the bottom of our screen, when we look at a website, we kind of get this notification that says, do we want to accept it? Do we want to decline it? Or there's like this new option where we can click on preferences, where we can pick and choose what type of cookies we want to have on or off. And I'm going to explain today, what cookies are, when to use them, and when not to use them. So cookies, if we think about it, are small pieces of data that websites store on either our computer or our phone. So cookies are on all devices, not just on computers. But a good way to think of what cookies are like little notes that websites leave on our device. And these little notes help the website remember you and your preferences. So the next time you visit that website, it's going to read the note or the cookie and remember you. So I'm going to give you some examples of how cookies are used. So for one example, like Amazon, when we're shopping on Amazon, sometimes when we're shopping, we add an item to our cart. We add something that we're interested in and we say, okay, I'll leave it in my cart. But then something comes up and then we leave our phone or we leave the computer and we decide to do something else, right? We don't want to pay for the item right now. We leave it in our shopping cart. Anytime we leave it in our shopping cart and we go leave, our phone to go cook or watch something on TV, and we come back to our phone, we're ready to pay for that item, we see that the item is still in our shopping cart. And the reason why it's still there in our shopping cart is because, there's a cookie on that website. Amazon left a little note to remember what we put in that shopping cart. So anytime you have added items to your shopping cart and then came back later, maybe later in the day, or maybe even the next day, you see that it's still in your shopping cart, that's all because of cookies. They're storing information about what we did on that website and saving that information about you. In a way, right, it does make it more convenient for you. So you don't have to worry about what was in your, shopping cart and forgetting about it and so on. These cookies are saving that pieces of information. And these are the pros of cookies, right? Saving that type of information for you. This is a good thing, but sometimes cookies can be bad and affect our privacy, because even though they save these little pieces of information for us that can be convenient, sometimes, right, these cookies can track what we do online. And this is why, we see a lot of advertisements about things that we have shopped for. So maybe you shopped for something on Amazon, a brand new mug or something, and then all of a sudden you see an advertisement of that same mug on Facebook or Instagram or even CNN, a news article. And that's all because cookies are tracking what we're doing on our websites and giving us personalized advertisements. Does anybody have any questions on what I just said?
Can you get rid of cookies?
So in order to get rid of cookies, you would have to clear all of your cookies throughout all of the websites, right? So that is a good question that was also asked in the center, that can you just clear cookies on one website but not another website? But the only way to clear all cookies is to delete, cookies on every single website and start brand new. So if you ever put your username and password into a website, right, cookies are saving that information. So you don't have to re-input your password. However, when you clear cookies, it's no longer going to remember what your username or password is for that website. So just think of like the pros and cons if you do want to ever delete cookies.
How do you delete cookies?
So I don't think I have a slide for that today, but
Oh.
in order to delete cookies, you have to do something called clearing your browsing data. And to clear your browsing data, you could, for iPhones, there's a section on that in our settings. Under Safari, you could clear your browsing data. And for those that have Google phones, Android phones, it's under a section called History. And then you clear your browsing data that way. Someone also raised their hand. You could go ahead, the one who raised your hand.
Yeah. How long does it keep this information? Let's say you go to Amazon and you change your mind about something, about buying something, but it's still there. How long does it hold this information?
So how long does like
Yeah.
the cookies
How
hold
long,
information?
how long will the information be held by Amazon, for example? Does it like disappear after a certain amount of time goes by, like a month?
Yeah, well, if we're talking about like things like you've added in your shopping cart, it will refresh like after like 24 hours. However, like cookies are saved, constantly. Like they only get deleted once you decide to clear your browsing data.
So it's indefinite, kind of how
Right,
they
correct. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
Tabitha,
Yes.
do you, I know you're careful about what you're saying, but do you recommend clearing your cookies, occasionally? Well, I mean, it is convenient to have your password come up. I'm always kind of a little nervous about that.
I mean, so I am going to talk about this slide here about when you shouldn't accept cookies. But for me, like the only time I would ever clear my cookies is when I feel as though, like here on this slide, which I was just going to talk about, if my phone is getting slow or my computer is getting slow. Because when we continue to accept cookies on all these different websites that we access throughout the year, think of it like each website is now saving a note about us. And each note, right, is going to keep making our phones or computers slower because there's these tons of websites that are now trying to keep up with what we do on that website and send out advertisements and so on. So in the past, I have only cleared it when I felt like my computer is getting slow, not really because of privacy issues and so on. And the reason why, I'm not concerned about that part is because of this slide here. I know when not to accept cookies, like when to decline them and when to accept them, which is going to be a big part in everyone here today when, you start going on websites because um I'll go over this slide now. So, right, times you shouldn't accept cookies are, of course, on unencrypted websites. So, unencrypted websites are usually when there is no lock or HTTPS next to the website, which basically means that the website is not secure. That they feel that if you go on this website, you might get a virus. So everyone here today should already be aware of not to go on any, shady websites where they have never, been on and so on. You should always go onto websites that you kind of know the company and they're reputable and things like that. That's why I always say to never click on random advertisements that you see when you're, browsing on the internet, because it's usually going to send you to a website that's not secure. So any website that you're just not familiar with, all of a sudden this website has tons of advertisements on it, that it's blocking the text of the article, you shouldn't, accept the cookies and keep trying to read the article. You should just right away leave that website, and that should be given for everyone here today. But another thing that's also, starting to happen with accepting cookies is this new idea to decline third-party cookies. And these third-party cookies, it's what, where the privacy concerns happen. Because with third-party cookies, right, this means that these are like cookies that give the advertisements out on websites. So let's give an example like CNN. If you're reading an article on CNN and you accept the cookies, right, you want to make sure you're only accepting cookies for CNN, not for CNN's random advertisements that they have on there, that it's paid by different companies that have nothing to do with CNN. So if we go back and we look here on this slide that says accept, or there's an option called preferences. In the preferences option, there is usually always a section that you can turn off for third-party cookies or marketing cookies and so on. There's an option to turn that switch off. So I advise everyone here today, the next time they kind of see this, if you have an option that doesn't say decline, but it says preferences or settings, definitely click on that so you can, of course, change what cookies you want to accept. The only cookies you would want to accept is that company only, like Amazon's cookies only. You don't want advertisement cookies and things like that. And they have it all laid out there as when you click on preferences, and it's like an on and off switch button that you can choose from. So I just want everyone to be aware of that and make sure to look at it each time you go into a website and you get that notification. Also, right, if you are on a website that, for some reason it needs your social security or your banking information, I would, always decline the use of cookies, because you don't want any of that information kind of being tracked or even like sold or things like that. So the only time you would want to put your social security in a website is if it's the actual official government page, or if it's from the official like passport page. But if it's some other website, you really shouldn't be putting your social security number in. However, like sometimes with websites, when you're shopping online, they do ask for banking information, so you want to make sure you decline the use of cookies.
May I reach what?
Does someone have a question? I don't know if someone had a question.
Is there a way to see which sites you have cookies with?
Let me just see.
Right.
I don't know if the iPhone does. Let me just make sure.
Yeah, no questions. Get
Yeah,
smart.
good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know if the iPhone does, but I do know Google does give you like a list of like which cookies and websites. And I can show you that at the ending of the presentation.
Okay,
I can make
okay.
a note of it. But I'm not too for like the iPhones, they just like allow you to clear the data, but it doesn't show like which websites have, your the most cookies and things like that and so on.
In settings on the iPhone, what would that clearing cookies, clearing browser data be under?
It's Safari. It's under
Okay,
Safari and then it's all the way
okay.
at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Question.
Yes.
I get a lot of stuff on Facebook that I'm not really interested in. Is there any way to eliminate some of that?
It kind of depends because with Facebook now, right, they have like a feature like Explore, Discover. So if you might be just seeing whatever popular on Facebook and that's sent out to like all the users. But I guess you can also just, try clearing the browsing data. If you use Google, I could show you where to, clear it at the ending of the presentation. That might help limit advertisements, but it doesn't mean like in the future it's not going to come back and you'll see like random people again and so on.
Okay,
So
thank you.
where do you clear that? Say that again. You clear it where?
I'm going to show at the ending because
Okay.
I have a lot of topics to keep going.
Okay. Thank you.
So just lastly, just a final thing to leave you with cookies, right? These are what cookies are used for. One thing is session management. So, right, cookies help remember when you logged into your account. So things like your passwords and your username, that's what cookies are remembering for you. So you don't have to re-put in that information. So if you're someone here today that always forgets your passwords or you don't like write down your passwords, you might want to think twice before you clear your cookies because your passwords are going to be gone. Another
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
oh yes, go
comment.
ahead. Go ahead.
Like I have a card listing all my passwords and I couldn't find it today.
Oh,
So that was a problem.
right.
So having it saved is better than not having saved
Yeah, that is
as
true.
far as your Google emails and things like that.
Correct. You may want to have two cards. Okay, so next, cookies are also used for personalization. So, like I said, cookies use the things that you put into websites to send out personalized advertisements for products you may want to buy or things you have bought in the past. And then lastly, it's also used for tracking. So shopping sites use cookies to track the items that you viewed or even put in your shopping cart and it'll remember it later for you. So then it'll always be in your shopping cart, things like that. So that was just one thing, cookies. We also have two other topics today, which is bookmarks and tabs. So I have a tutorial now for bookmarks and basically what bookmarks are, it's a way to save and quickly access your favorite websites, web pages, or anything else you may do online. So essentially what bookmarks are like shortcuts to your favorite website. So you don't have to re-input that long website over and over. So essentially, if you're someone here today that you probably have like a favorite YouTube video you always watch, or you always like to read articles from this specific person. You can make a bookmark so you could always access it without having to go crazy and trying to find it again. Or maybe you have like a favorite recipe that you always go back to, and it takes you a long time to find it again. You can bookmark it on your phone, so then it's, you know, saved there for next time. So that's why people use bookmarks. Bookmarks work on your phones, your iPads, and computers. So I am going to show a tutorial, but I've noticed that some people here today probably use their phones to watch the Zoom presentation as well. So it might be hard to like do it while, you know, you're watching the Zoom presentation. So, you know, just you could always do it after the presentation or write down notes or things like that. I could always also send you the presentation after, so then you can do it on your own if that is going to help anybody here today. But this is how we add bookmarks on the iPhone. So once again, this is a tutorial that I'm showing that's not on Zoom. You have to leave Zoom to do this, because I've noticed, you know, in the past, people might get confused with that. So in order to add something, a website, as a bookmark on your iPhone, you do have to visit the Safari application on your iPhone or iPad. And this is what the Safari application looks like. Those that have Android phones, I'm going to do your section right after this. So once we tap on the Safari icon, right, it probably will open up to some websites we probably were searching for in the past. And it doesn't matter which website we're on, because this is just a practice, but this is usually what your screen should look like, some website that you have open. And all the way at the bottom, we kind of have some icons here, a share icon, the bookmark icon, and the tab icon at the bottom of the screen. But we want to tap on the share icon, which is the middle icon at the bottom of the screen on the Safari app, right? So we're in another app, we're not in Zoom. And once we tap on that share icon, it is going to open up to a simple menu that has a lot of functions, but we want to tap on where it says add bookmark. To those that have their phone zoomed in more, or your text is more magnified than others, you may just need to swipe down with your finger, you know, scroll down with your finger to find where it says add bookmark. That's kind of all to it. It's very easy. And if you ever want to find it again, right next to that share icon is always your bookmark icon that you can always look at to access the different bookmarks that you add on your iPhone or iPad. Does anybody have any questions on that?
So you could put something from YouTube, a beautiful little video and bookmark.
Yes, but you first would have to search for that YouTube video on Safari. So remember, these are for websites. So you would have to go to youtube.com, then go to that video you're looking for, and then you can bookmark it. So in hindsight, it really is more used for websites, like a news article, a recipe, something in that kind of nature.
I'm having trouble finding bookmarks on all those options. I have AirDrop, messages, mail, notes, reminders.
Okay, so you have to go down with your finger and not swiping down, go down a bit with your finger, and it should say copy, add to reading list, and then add bookmark.
This isn't allowing me to do it today. Maybe, all right, I'll play around with it offline.
Okay.
Oh, it's there. I'm sorry, it's there. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Tabitha.
It changed its mind.
Exactly.
So those that have Android, or even if you're someone here today that has an iPhone and uses this app on your phone, you have to have this app, Google Chrome, on your phone. We're gonna go to this app, and this one's a bit easier than the iPhone because all the way at the top, when we click on a website on our Google Chrome app, we have this like star all the way at the top of the website that we're on. We have to be on a website. So whether you're on Amazon, Zoom, New York Times, you have to be on a website. And all the way at the top, we have this star, and a star on Google Chrome, signifies bookmark. So anytime you see a star, just think of it means bookmark. And that's really all there is to it. You just tap on that star. And if you ever want to see your bookmark again, right next to the star, all the way to the right, you have those three little dots. In those three little dots, you'll have a section called bookmarks where you can always retrieve anything you've bookmarked in the past. And bookmarks, there's no limit to bookmarks, but you can, if you are someone that doesn't have an older phone or not enough storage, I don't recommend, having like 300 bookmarks or so on. Because once again, everything that we save on our phone takes storage, and eventually 300, 400 bookmarks is going to take up space on the phone. Any questions on that from anybody here today?
So you just click on the star and then hit the article and it's in the bookmark.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the last thing we are going to go over is just tabs. Just once again, a refresher. If you were here last week, we went over tabs. But those who are new today, right? Tabs are basically ways that we can organize our websites. So each tab is going to represent a new website. So when I see people here in the center, many people don't have multiple websites open because they don't realize that, with Google Chrome or Safari, you're capable of doing that. But it is true, you can have as many, not as many tabs as you want, but there is a limit. But you can always access another website and have another one open. Like, for example, you can be on YouTube and then quickly switch to Amazon, or you can read a New York Times article and then go back to reading your recipe, right? You can have multiple tabs open with different websites. So like, for example, if we look at an iPhone, right? Sometimes when we're looking at our phone on our Safari, we're just looking at one website. But when we tap on the tabs icon all the way at the bottom of the screen, right-hand side, it will open up to all the other tabs that we may have or may not have open. And if we even hold down that tab icon at the bottom of the screen, it will tell us, how many tabs we have open. So here in this example on Zoom, right? The person held down that square button at the bottom. With their finger, they held it down, and it opened up a menu that said whether they wanted to close all of their 55 tabs. So that means that on this person's iPhone, they had 55 different websites open of different things that they, were looking at throughout weeks or months. Tabs don't have like a time span. You can have a tab open forever, which is in hindsight not good, because if you are someone that never checks how many tabs you have, eventually you can reach the limit, which is 500, and then your app is not going to work anymore because you have too many tabs open. So, I recommend that everyone, looks to see how many tabs they have open, and just make sure, if you're no longer interested in that website, you already finished that article, there's no need to have that tab. You can close the tab. The same thing, like if you were on the computer in the library, once you read something, right, you no longer need to have it open for the next person. It would be courtesy to delete that website off the computer. Same thing with your phone. Once you read something, you no longer need it. And I also fall victim to it. Like I've also had like 50 tabs open because I've never, delete the tabs because I forget about it. So I just make sure, to keep a habit to make sure I delete my tabs because eventually, yes,
Is
it slows down the phone.
in
Yes,
YouTube
Alicia.
too, in YouTube, you have to get rid of all the little things you watch.
No, that is something completely different.
Okay.
Tabs have to do with websites. YouTube is an application about videos.
Okay.
You mentioned that you can look at your cell phone and find your Google Chrome to access different websites. I have Google Chrome on my desktop, but not on my, I don't see that icon amongst my many that I have on my cell phone. How do I get that?
Right. Because I just realized that I didn't put the Google Chrome. I'm sorry, for Android phones. So if you have a Google Chrome on your phone, you see how on the iPhones with the red arrows pointing at the bottom of the screen? Instead, for Google Chrome phones, your tab icon is going to be at the top corner. Usually it's indicated by a number of inside a square box. So like 5 would be inside of a box, and it's usually in the top upper right hand corner. Uh, kind of like next to the 3 little dots going down, because I'm looking at my Android tablet at the moment to like direct you, and it's at the top corner.
I'm looking at my top here. There's the above the 3 dots. I have well, it says I'm at 99%. And
Well,
then
not on top of that. Next to your 3 dots on the left hand side, what do you see next to it on the left?
on the left says search.
Do you see the star?
There are no stars.
Are you on Google with the G or the Chrome?
Uh,
You want to make sure you're on the Chrome application, which is the rainbow circle.
I just clicked. I found my Chrome.
Okay, so you want to get on that app. And when you're on that app, do you see it now in the corner?
Okay, I'm on Google Chrome. Now it says enhance ad privacy in Chrome. You can make ads in Chrome. You can make changes in Chrome.
Yeah,
I've never used it. Should I
you
click?
never used it, so just hit like continue or accept.
So it says got it. It's either settings or got it.
Oh, got it.
Okay, got it. Search or type URL.
Okay, so at the top of the screen in the right-hand corner, since you never use it, you probably don't have any tabs open. But in the top upper right-hand corner, you have the 3 little dots, and then right next to it, it's like a square.
Yes.
That's your tab icon. So in the future, you want to make sure when you tap on that, you don't reach like 500 tabs open.
It says there's a number 21 within that square.
Oh, okay. So that means you have 21 tabs open. So if you tap on that square, you're going to see all the tabs you have open.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay, so before we take the quiz, I wanted to show everyone, for those that have maybe a laptop or even Google Chrome, how to get to clearing browsing data. But I see someone raise their hand, so if you raise your hand, you could go ahead if you have a question.
Hello, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm not clear what the difference is between Google Chrome and
Regular Google.
Google, because you said something about one of them is for accessing sites, and
Right.
sounds like they do pretty much the same thing. You know, the way that you explained it, just
Right.
that way. So I didn't know.
So regular Google, the letter G, is just a search engine. So a search engine is just being able to type something and, getting a response. A question, you get a response. Whereas Google Chrome is kind of all the other functions that I've been listing, where you're able to bookmark something, looking at your different tabs that you have open. You're
Oh,
able to access your email and your drive and all of that.
okay, so you can do more things with Google Chrome then.
Right. It's like more personalized with your account.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
So right now I'm on Google Chrome, and this also works for, well, no, it doesn't work the same. But if I'm gonna put a little annotation. All the way in the corner on Google Chrome, we kind of have these three little dots. And I'm on a computer, but most likely some people here today are not gonna have a computer. They're using their phones. But if I click on those three little dots, I do have it opens up a brand new menu. And I do have a section that says clear browsing data. However, if you have a phone, it's not going to say clear browsing data. It's going to say history, and then you can clear your browsing data. So if you click on those three little dots, you want to find history. And it should open up to kind of like everything you've been searching for, all of the things throughout each day. And you'll have a section to clear your browsing data. I'm just gonna do it from doing it from my laptop, tablet. Yeah. And you'll see clear browsing data. On the computer, it just looks different because it's a larger screen, so it's not gonna be identical to those that have phones. But you can see here on the left-hand side, I do have a section in history called clear browsing data. I just
That
put a
is on
little.
the iPhone.
Yes, the iPhone, you have to go to settings and Safari, and then it'll say clear browsing data. And you can see here, when you clear browsing data, you have cookies that you want to clear. But remember, once you clear out the cookies, it's not going to remember your password anymore, and it's going to sign you out of every website you already have logged in. So I know a lot of people that I meet at the center, they have things programmed because of cookies that they can automatically just do gmail.com, and they don't have to put their password or anything. And that's because a cookie has saved your password. But just remember, if you clear your cookies and you say clear data right now, you have to remember what every single of your passwords are, because it's going to log you out and delete that information.
Even with the key, even when you put it, put your password in that key thing, hide
Yeah,
passcode.
it's gonna delete it because
Okay.
you're saying I want to delete all my data from
Gotcha.
from those websites. So data includes like your passwords.
Would it be a
Okay,
good
thank
thing
you.
to selectively clear some history? Does that speed up your computer?
That is also correct. That's a good thing. So if you're someone here that's worried about your um computer getting slow, you can uncheck cookies so it could save your stuff and just, delete your history and images and files, and that can also help restore some speed to your computer.
But having some of the history there makes it easier to find things, I would imagine, right?
That is true. You see here, so once again, what I'm showing is only a Google Chrome function. Safari doesn't have these functions where you can select and choose what you want or a time range. But if you are someone that uses Google Chrome, you can also choose what history you want to delete. So you have all time, 4 weeks, 7 days. So you could also choose 4 weeks. So in the past month or so, it deletes that data, but not everything, you know? But
Now, to find that history, I could just put at the very top in the, replacing a website, Chrome/history, and I'll come to that history, right?
you could do it that way, yes. Chrome and then //history. And then you
Oh,
can
okay.
see your history as well.
Okay, thank you.
Let me put it in the chat. For those that have iPhones and use Safari, right, you would go to your settings and tap on Safari. You have like a section for it. I'm trying to get it myself. It's like in between all these apps. And when you scroll down, you have a section that says clear history and website data. And you can see that, you know, it's not as advanced as Google Chrome, unfortunately, where you can pick and choose what you want. So, but that's how it would work for Apple iPhones.
Tabitha, is that where you would that clear your cookies also?
That would clear it would clear everything that you have searched for on a website. So cookies, your login information, your history, and so on.
Okay. Thank you.
So, I mean, if you are gonna do it in the future, I would just recommend, you know, make sure you know what your passwords are and then go ahead and do it, right? So, you know, if you have somewhere place where you save them or so on, try to get that information first before you decide to just clear all your data.
Right. Thank you.
Right. So, I mean, the only way you would want you to do it, like if it's an emergency, is only if your phone is very slow or if you accidentally, you know, accept cookies on some website that you know is gonna cause, you know, viruses to your computer. But if not, you know, you have time to look for your passwords and then, you know, delete it. It's not a rush to like, oh, I have to clear all my cookies right now after this presentation. You always have time to do, you know, find your passwords first.
I find that cookies confusing, Tabitha, because there's sometimes you cannot proceed unless you accept cookies.
Yes, and that's also a good, you know, answer or question, right? So I didn't touch on that subject because it's not true to every website, but now there are a lot of websites where you actually can accept, you know, go on the website and actually browse it without accepting, you know, the cookies. So in a way, you know, you have to first identify, is it really something that you need to read? Do you really need to access this website? Because in some cases, it's not true for mainstream websites like Amazon, Macy's, Target. Those are not the websites where you can't access it without accepting the cookies. It's usually for more like news articles and things like that where you can access the website. So, I mean, sometimes I just kind of leave the website if I can't, you know, decline some cookies. Because sometimes in those cases, that website was never really important to me.
What I
That's
do,
good
I don't
advice.
use documents or cookies or anything like that. I mean, I use cookies, but if I'm trying to find a website of a company that I'm interested in, I'm in different programs, and what I do is I create a Word document, and so I just review all my documents in alphabetical order till I find my my Word document, and now contain any information as to the link and so forth.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing to do as well. Okay, so that's really the end. I always have a quiz at the ending to just make sure everyone retained the information for today. So I'm just gonna go through that. And anyone here today, if you want to stay on for the quiz, be fun. You could say it out loud what the answer is, or you could write it in the chat what you think the answer is. It's about 4 questions. So this is the first one here. And if you know it, you could say it, or you can, again, type it in the chat.
E,
D,
C,
C. Okay. Who else says another answer?
No, D.
D.
D. So we have C's and D's. Any other?
Well, web browser. Web browsers, no, it's internet service provider, say.
No, it's not in the.
Okay, so this is, a tricky one, which
It's tricky.
it also tricked the people at the center as well, because I do this class in the center. So the answer is D, an application to find and view websites on the internet.
Absolutely.
So once again, right? If you did choose internet service provider, an internet service provider are companies that give us Wi-Fi and mobile data. So an internet service provider is Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, T-Mobile, TracFone, Metro PCS. Those are internet service providers. They're giving us access to Wi-Fi or to access to the cellular towers all around us. However, a web browser is an actual application that we can go into on our devices and search for websites.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next question. True or false? Safari and Google are both web browsers.
True.
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 True. True.
Okay.
True.
Okay, correct, right? Yes, true. Safari and Google are both web browsers. They're both ways to go and view websites. However, right, as you saw, there are more than 2 web browsers that you can use depending on a device you have. There's all the different ones that I listed in the beginning of the presentation. Edge, owned by Microsoft. The other one owned by Mozilla, which is Firefox, and so on. Okay, number 3. What is the purpose of tabs in web browsers like Safari and Google Chrome?
Search.
Uh,
B.
B, I think.
Yeah, B.
It's B.
B.
Everyone else agrees B?
B.
Oh, sorry. B, everyone says B?
Yes.
Okay, then if you said B, that is correct, right? Tabs are ways that we can open up multiple websites. So we open one tab that may have YouTube, then we open the other one to read an article in the news, and so on. Tabs are different ways to have multiple websites. Okay, I think it's the 4th question. Why do people use bookmarks?
A.
A,
Okay,
A.
okay.
A,
Okay, this
A.
was a very easy one. Good job, right? People use bookmarks to quickly access their favorite website. And I think, yeah, this is the last one. Last question. What is the function of cookies in online sessions?
B,
B.
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 F.
what?
Kidding. F.
Another 5 minutes, I'm finishing a conference call.
Okay, good. Thank you. It was B, right? To store information about your online activities. And I want to say you guys beat the in-center class because you guys got more, you answered questions more than, the other class. So congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
Tabitha.
Thank you,
sweetie.
Tabitha. Thank you
That's
so much.
it. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And I'll see you again next time.
Okay,
again.
Tabitha, thanks again.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay. Good night.